Welcome back to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm your host, Allie Hysong. Join with me, the man, the myth, the legend, Dustin. Dustin, happy Tuesday. How you
Happy
doing out
Tuesday.
there?
I'm doing great, Allie. Happy Tuesday to you as well.
I appreciate it. It's been a long week and it's only Tuesday.
I know, right? But hey, we got a 3-day weekend coming up because it's 4th of July. And even though we can't watch fireworks, I think everybody's going to at least enjoy out here. Everybody goes camping and they go to the woods and they get up in the
Yeah.
hills and they do all the boating and all that. So we've had a little bit of an outbreak of Corona here. So that's been a little interesting to deal with. We actually moved back a stage. We were at stage 4 here and now we're in stage 3. So they closed the bars. They shut them down here. But that's not too different than I know. I don't like when Idaho makes national news, but Arizona, Arizona,
Yeah.
Texas did the same thing, and Florida shut down the
Florida
bars.
as well. Florida as well.
Um,
Stay safe, stay healthy, guys.
yeah,
Guys, welcome back. We missed last week. We were just jam-packed. Weren't able to go on. We apologize. We missed you. We love you. We're happy to be back. We've got a jam-packed show. Lots going on in the past 2 weeks, Dustin.
there's a lot to catch up on.
I mean, man, my God, we got Cam Newton's a Patriot. You got Jamal Adams ready to be traded out of New York.
Yep.
Browns news, OBJ saying he's got unfinished business in Cleveland, all
Yep.
sorts of good stuff. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you all for joining. We appreciate you. Drop your comments, questions, concerns, anything you have in the comments section. We are going to be taking callers here later on in the show. Dustin, you have that number ready?
Yes, it's 216-249-6861. Again, that's 216-249-6861. Anybody that wants to dial in on our Skype number, we're going to be giving away a couple prizes tonight, and we have some pretty obscure, maybe easy questions for people, maybe not. But whoever can answer these correctly will have some great prizes from some of our sponsors. Obviously, McGrew designs our awesome mugs. Allie's got hers. I got mine. Thanks to the folks over there at McGrew Designs. We have our stuff up actually on our Facebook page if you ever want to order any of their products. And what's really cool is you don't have to just order brown stuff. They'll make stuff for your high school kids. They'll make stuff for your kids that are like anything you want to make customized. She does an awesome job, but that's McGrew Designs, and we post obviously their stuff up there and her business information is there. But we really appreciate everything she does for us. And because of the great stuff she does, you guys can win some awesome, cool custom prizes from the Here We Go Brownie Show.
Here we go, brownies. I love it. And shout out to our good friend Brian Hewitt for all of his handcrafted designs. He makes these really cool stickers. So some of our prize winners in the previous weeks, they got some of this good stuff. So shout out to those good friends of the program. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, go Browns. Dustin, we have something kind of unique that we're shooting for next week. Maybe on the 10th.
Yes.
What are you thinking here? What are you thinking?
Okay,
Share with the listeners.
All right. So everyone, we have this really interesting thing. We've all seen it during our quarantine time, but we thought we would do our normal show like we do every week next Tuesday, but we're going to do a special Friday. Everybody's been working a lot, been at home, but we're going to do a virtual happy hour through Zoom. And we'll probably limit it just so that way we don't have 80 pictures on the screen. But we want you to call in on our Zoom number. And what we'll do is it'll be the same, through our Zoom screen, but it'll be the same time. It'll be 8 Eastern. And what'll be really nice about that is you'll be able to call in and we'll all be having a drink and enjoying our virtual happy hour and enjoying our weekend. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a little different. It'll be a lot different kind of thing to do for the fans, but we wanted to give you guys a thank you and, give everyone a cheer for supporting us and doing all that with the show with us.
Absolutely. So join us next week. We're shooting for the 10th, and we'll drop more details as the show goes on and as the week goes on. We'll give you that information. But secure a spot now and have a beer with Dustin and I. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And it's not going to be a formal show. We're just going to sit back, have a little bit of fun, and chat with you guys. So we'll do that next week. Let's go ahead and get started. Dustin, I know we've got lots to talk about. Like I said, we missed a week. Cam Newton's a Patriot. Jamal Adams trying to get out of New York. OBJ, he says he's got unfinished business.
I like that, by the way.
I want to dive into that here in a little bit. But one thing that really stuck out to me today, I was listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, one of my favorite shows, Bo Bishop, Nathan Zagura. They do a great job over there. Yep. And they had Joe Thomas on. And Nathan Zagura, he says, you know what? Somebody asked me a question and it just stuck with me. And they brought it up on the show and they asked Joe Thomas. They said, If you could pick any player in the history of the Cleveland Browns to add to the current roster, who would it be? So, Dustin, I want to ask you that.
Okay.
I want to ask you if you could pick any player in the history of the Cleveland Browns to add to the 2020 Cleveland Browns roster under the current coaching construct, to the current roster, to the current scheme, to the current everything. You can pick an offensive player, a defensive player, and a special teams player. Who are you picking?
You want me to go in order, and then we can pick each other's one?
Let's do it. Yep, let's go in order here.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the offense.
Okay.
And I'm sure he'll appreciate this. Maybe sometime he'll come on our show, but I would pick Joe Thomas.
Okay.
Because we always have these questions about surefire. So here's the great thing. We just drafted the guy that actually plays the other side of the ball, right?
Wills, my man. You know, I love him.
So just keep him where he's the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
And put Joe Thomas in his prime over at surefire blind side. Now you have the best offensive line by far and depth. So we have a lot of skills players, but we have to protect Baker. We have to make sure Chubb and those guys can run the ball. You just put Joe Thomas over there, because I'm telling you right now, if Joe Thomas had this football team right now, he'd be giddy as an offensive tackle. He'd be like, why didn't I get all these pretty toys to have when I was an offensive tackle? Like, you know what I mean? Like a quarterback that stays here more than a year. 2, number 1 receivers. Like Joe Thomas would be like, why couldn't I have this, right? So I would go with Joe Thomas, future first ballot Hall of Famer. I would go with
the Hoff. Yeah. Okay, so I'll give you mine.
Okay.
And I'm going with Joe Thomas.
Oh!
I think.
Okay, by the way, folks, we didn't know our answers.
No, we did not.
That's funny.
I wonder if our whole thing is going to be the same, but I think the obvious answer here is Joe Thomas. I know we just go out draft Jedrick Wills, number 10 overall, the left tackle out of Alabama, who we are hoping is the left tackle of the future for the Cleveland Browns. Yep. But at this point, he's Joe Thomas, surefire Hall of Famer, first ballot, best pass blocking left tackle in the history of the league. Yep. Of course you add him to your offensive line, to your already good offensive line. Right. It's not like Jedrick Wills is a 5-time Pro Bowler in the league. Right. This is his going into his rookie season. Move him over to guard, put him over at right guard, left guard, move Joel, I don't care, move him, and then bring our boy Hoff, Joe Thomas in there. Next to Joel Bitonio, JC Treader there in the middle, put Jedrick on the right guard position and Jack Conklin on the right tackle position. Oh my God.
You've got you've got an offensive line dream. Yeah.
Oh my God. Seriously, I'm like sweating just thinking about that. So I think that's a surefire.
That's crazy that you picked Joe Thomas. That was fun.
I think it's the only answer here. The only answer.
There's a lot of great offensive players, but I mean, the fact that you picked that.
But you have to take into consideration areas of need, because you can go Jim Brown here. He's the best running back in the league, but you've already got an incredible running back room.
1-2 punch.
Yeah, you've got Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. I mean, and I'm not saying that either of them are better than our boy Jim Brown. Right. But what I'm saying is you need to take a look at the roster and look what your areas of emphasis are, your areas of need.
Right.
Obviously, that's the offensive line. I think we have 2 surefire things in the backfield. I don't want to add another one in there when we need help on the line, or if we need help at receiver, whatever. So I think you have to take that into consideration.
Yep. Oh, I agree. No, I just think that's a surefire.
No brainer.
Where to go? Yeah.
All right, Dustin.
Defense.
Same thing on the defense.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little old school here. Bring back the magic. I'm gonna go with Clay Matthews here. I think Clay Matthews, linebacker. He kind of fits that mold. We need a linebacker. We've heard this all offseason, linebacker. Why don't we just put former legend of Cleveland from, the great days of winning the playoffs every year. I'm going to put Clay Matthews in there.
Same. So,
okay, by the way, if we were playing the lottery, like this is like
this is awful. This is terrible podcasting here, but that's okay. Guys, Dustin and I haven't talked prior to this. We had no
hilarious.
Idea. But again, I think this is a no-brainer. You look at your areas of need, and we've talked to nauseum at how much help you need in that linebacker room. Yeah, you've got Mac Wilson. Yeah, you've got Sione Takitaki. Yeah, you've got BJ Goodson, who's pretty good. But you don't have that veteran presence with Joe Schobert gone and Christian Kirksey. You need somebody who can kind of be that coach in the middle of the field. And what I love about Clay Matthews, obviously the best.
Right.
But like Joe Thomas said, he actually said Clay Matthews on the show. He said what you can do with him is you can put him in that off-ball linebacker position, be that Mike linebacker, work the middle of the field, or work there in the middle, or you can put his hand in the dirt and line up on the line, be opposite Miles.
He's a pure blue collar kind of player. Like,
that's exactly what you need on this.
It's the mold of snow in December Cleveland. Like, I mean,
oh my God.
He's your guy. Yeah.
All right, now we've got special teams.
Okay.
Go ahead. I have a feeling, but go ahead.
Luke Rosa.
Okay.
And I go with Luke Rosa because, he's only named after the most accurate and best kicker in college football with the Luke Rosa Award, and he is Lou the Toe. And if there's anything I've done in all of my time watching Browns games, is it just infuriates me when somebody misses a surefire field goal to win a playoff game or an extra point that you think should go through there. So I want consistency. I want a Hall of Fame kicker, because sometimes this games come down to one possession, one field goal. And if I want a guy to go out there and kick it through the uprights, it's going to be Lou the Toe.
So I did not.
Yay.
But I've got to tell you, I struggled with this one. Okay. I did, because I think for me, I've got two that I'm just like, I could go either way. Here. But I wrote something down in my notes, and I'm going to change it right now.
Okay.
So I had Phil Dawson.
Oh, same. You're along the same line.
Yeah, same idea. I had him, but that's not who I'm going to pick on air. And I had him because same reason you just said, kind of a surefire thing. That's who I remember when I think of the kicker for the Cleveland Browns growing up. He was just the guy.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to go Josh Cribbs.
Oh, Josh. Yeah.
And the reason being is I have a ton of hope and belief in what Austin Seibert can do. I know he had some kind of back and forth last year, couple missed field goals, couple missed extra points. But I think if he can get into a rhythm under Mike Prefer, special teams coordinator, we're solid.
Yep.
But I don't think we have that electric, explosive returner. We don't have it. We don't have that. Damian Ratley, Antonio Callaway last year, a couple years ago, we don't have that. So I'm going to go Josh Cribbs, the most explosive and electric returner that I can remember in the history of the Cleveland Browns.
Well, I might debate you on Eric Metcalf, but
that I remember.
Yeah, Eric Metcalf was a phenomenal player for sure as well. So.
Yes. Fun little segment there. Fun question. Nathan Zagura brought that up, and I'm like, hey, I hate to steal his question, but I loved that idea because everybody kind of goes in a different direction with it.
And here's the best thing, to full disclosure to our audience, I didn't watch any of that Daily Show. That just came from what I just thought of, and the fact that we had 2 out of 3, that's kind of funny.
Real quick, I want to get to this one, and I think this is really interesting. David Burns, he's a friend of the program. Hey, Dave, how you doing? He says that he would add Michael Dean Perry to the defensive line.
Ooh, now that would be... Isn't
that interesting?
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
Yeah, he was he was a real gutsy player. Like he was.
He'll get you. He gonna get you in that interior of the defensive line. What did he have? Like 20 sacks in a year in the middle of the line.
He was a monster. Yeah.
Absolute monster.
Yeah.
Anyways, fun little question there. Let's move on. We've got plenty to get to. Lots to go around the league. First and foremost, I think we would be absolutely remiss if we didn't bring this up. But Cam Newton, I think you had this, Dustin. I think you had this on another show. He's a New England Patriot. Yeah,
I said this is the only fit that I see that even makes sense. They have a big question mark at quarterback. I think that, like I said, a lot of people thought Tom Brady would come back. I think even the Patriots were confident in that. Mm-hmm. And I think he finally walked and said, is it worth it? And they were like, well, now what do we do? And I think because of the pandemic and all that, you haven't been able to bring people in to get a physical, check out his arm and all that, right? Now that's happening, and all of a sudden Cam Newton signed. I think you'll also see some other things where these other players, maybe like Clowney or these other players, might start getting signed now because people are getting ready to come back to camp.
You know what I think is interesting too is, we've talked about this I mean, how many times have we said Cam Newton, Jadeveon Clowney, how the hell are they still in the market? And
Right.
I said, I think he'd be a good fit in for the Chargers. And then you said, no, Ali Hysong. He's going to the Patriots. I said, Dustin, you're crazy, but I'm just kidding. But just 1 year. He just signed a 1-year deal on an incentive-based contract.
And you know he's going to try to get as much out of that as he can.
$7.5 million.
Yep.
Incentive-based. A little on the low end. There.
Yeah.
You have, God, we could just run through the quarterbacks who are making significantly more money. I think Jared Goff is number one. He's got like $30 million that he's going to make this year.
Guaranteed.
Cam Newton, Cam MVP Newton, MVP of the league, making $7.5 million for the New England Patriots. Insane. That's insane to me.
But here's the point. What is the one thing that the New England Patriots are absolutely good at, other than filming people at Browns games, is they don't pay big contracts. That's just not the way they work. I mean, if you think about it, when's the last time you could talk about that they had like multiple like great receivers or any of that? They get the most out of their folks, and they don't, they let them walk. They really do. And then most of the time they get them on a deal, because they're like, well, I could go somewhere else, or I can play for less and win a Super Bowl, right? So I think they have that advantage. Like, hey, we have a bunch of Lombardis here in the cabinet. I think we know what we're doing. You can go down the street to another team, but do you have that chance? Do you have that chance of winning the championship? And I think they talk about it, the NFL stands for not for long. The average time of players in the league, and so these guys are like, if Cam's probably thinking, man, if I have the tools, I have the coach. What happens if I could win another Super Bowl? I'm going to take that risk and opportunity.
Well, that's a good point. But it's just so, I don't know. I'm just so shocked that it took this long. Took this long to get Cam on a roster. But Dustin, let me ask you this: what does this mean? What does it mean for the Patriots going forward? What does it mean for the division? And what's this mean for Jarrett Stidham?
I think he's going to be set on the bench. I mean, you don't sign somebody.
Yeah, that's no competition here.
Yeah, so it's okay. You got a former Super Bowl quarterback. He's not going to be they didn't sign him to be the number 2, right? Obviously,
of course not.
What I do think it is, hey, we're going to kick the tires on you. We're going to have a 1-year deal. We obviously like this other quarterback, but you're going to sit and learn behind Cam Newton, who we think has a great skill set that maybe you could watch and learn from. And by the way, the Patriots are all about winning. They always have winning seasons for the most part, since we can go back in time. So for the New England Patriots, this is almost a stopgap, I think. Like, we think we can probably make even the playoffs with Cam Newton. So our goal is to just keep making the playoffs and have a winning record, and we're just buying our time. So I think they're doing this as kind of like a rental, I think. But now if he has a great season, maybe they come back and sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal, right? And he ends his career in New England, right? But I think this is kind of that thing where you say, no, we know what your skill set is. We're bringing you in. We're going to give you this money. Oh, by the way, it's really, to your point, incentive laden, right? So, hey, you win X amount of games. You get us to the playoffs. You get little bonuses that just kick in. So maybe he is making maybe $15 million if he just keeps hitting all of his escalators on that. So I think it changes the division. I think a lot of people going in said the Bills had a really good chance to win this division this year based on they made the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I'm the Bills now. I'm like, damn, what just happened? We got hoodwinked, and now we're playing against Cam Newton twice a year.
Well, here's the thing with Cam Newton. I think he's kind of a better version of Josh Allen. Yeah. Big arm, not exactly accurate, huge run threat, smart, but I mean, obviously Cam Newton's Cam Newton. I'd much rather have Cam Newton over Josh Allen.
Well, I think he's actually a mix between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen.
In a way, yes. In a way.
He's like a hybrid, right? He can, I mean, he's older now, so he's not as mobile as he was, but he has that elusiveness that if he needs to run out of the pocket and get 10 yards and get a first down, he'll do it. So.
Well, here's the thing too, and I know that we brought this up when we said the Chargers were maybe a good fit, but they just go out and draft Justin Herbert with the number 6 overall pick. And remember, we said, hey, you're bringing in Cam Newton. What's that do to your locker room? Cam's not he's not Nick Foles coming in there, some small personality, or hey, I'm going to lead you. That's not who Cam Newton is. He's a big kind of LA personality. He's going to come in.
He's
going to
not
come
your
into the
he's not
room.
your Tyrod Taylor coming to
No,
Cleveland.
he's definitely not. He's definitely going to be the starter. But here's the thing. Cam Newton, former Auburn quarterback. Jarrett Stidham, former Auburn quarterback.
Yep.
In a weird way, obviously, I think Jarrett Stidham knows and understands he's not going to be the starting quarterback,
Oh, sure.
barring injury in 2020. But in a way, I think that Cam Newton will have that brotherhood with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not going to say, in any other situation, I think Cam would say, hey, to hell with you. I'm here to win. I don't care about mentoring you. That's not my job.
Right.
But in this situation, I think it might be a little bit of a bridge there, a little bit of a brotherhood.
And I think they have the coaches in that organization that will mentor them together, right? Like, hey, just so you know, Cam's going to be the starter. Next year is a different year, but we want you to get reps and we want you to learn, which is kind of interesting. I think it was Andy Reid or one of the it was the coach of Tampa Bay. I'm trying to think of his name. Bruce Arians. He brought up the point where I don't think any quarterback learns sitting on the bench. Get him out there, play him.
Yeah.
Like he's of that set. So, but then others are like, well, but we look at that, but let's be completely transparent here. Tom Brady was on the bench behind Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah.
And then he got injured, and guess what? It was automatic, and they never looked back. So, they may be looking at some of that kind of stuff too. Like, hey, just sit and wait and you'll get your turn.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a prove it year for Cam. I think he hasn't been healthy since 2018. And in 2018, he was a hell of a player like he's always been. I mean, he's a force of nature, elite athlete. I think this is a prove it year. Prove it that you still have it, which he obviously still does. But prove it to us, Cam, that you're not going to go out there and break another bone, break another foot, do whatever you got to do.
Well, and you can see that he's in every Instagram video I saw of him throwing to OBJ, he looks like he's game ready. So he's not.
Yeah, I think so. Anyways, that's enough. That's enough of that. But I agree. I think this does put the Patriots back on top in that division. I'm not saying they're going to make a big, deep playoff run. That's not what I'm saying here. But I think they're probably the favorites. Aside maybe the Bills. I think they've obviously made some offseason improvements, but Jets and Miami have some work to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Defense wins championships, and that's what Bill Belichick does. And hey, they still have an elite defense. So speaking of elite, let's jump around here, Dustin.
Yeah.
Let's do something here.
Yeah.
I like predictions.
Okay.
Way too early predictions.
Way too early.
Let's dive into our Here We Go Brownies way too early NFL predictions, meaning MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year. We can break that down in the AFC and we can do the whole NFL bigger picture.
Right.
So let's dive in. Who is your way too early MVP of the AFC?
Way too early of the AFC.
And I'm putting you on the spot here. This is not something we really discussed, but
yeah,
that's fun for us.
I'm trying to think of what player stood out. I'm gonna have to go with Joe Burrows. I just think
MVP of the league.
No, MVP of the league.
Yes, this is not rookie of the year.
I'm going MVP of the league.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm gonna toss that one back to you. I don't know.
Okay, so my way too early for the NFL. We'll do NFL, then we'll go AFC. I know that's not really an award in the AFC, but we'll break it down because we're in the AFC. But bigger picture, NFL, I'm going with Russell Wilson here. I think it's his year. It's his year to make a difference.
Oh yeah.
He's just been on the cusp there for the past couple of years. He's signed that big contract. He's got some more weapons there. And I know that there was some rumors maybe of Antonio Brown going up there to Seattle. Yeah. We don't know, but
Josh Gordon.
Yeah. I think that it's his year. I love Russell Wilson. I love that guy. I think he's immensely talented. So I'm going with him here. Russell Wilson, MVP of the league.
Okay, so I'm gonna now that I've had a little more thought on this, I'm going back and forth between a couple players.
Go for it.
This is gonna sound really, really crazy.
Let's hear it.
It's 2020, and there's a lot of crazy things going on. But if Baker really is as serious as he is, with this talented roster, he could be the MVP of the league.
It could happen.
And he's just got so much talent right now. Like he could be like, I'm putting my head down, folks. I'm going for the MVP of the league. And
I
so,
love it.
well, no, I mean, I'm just thinking like this is his make or break year.
Oh, it absolutely is.
And I think if he goes out and does that, he's a hero if he's MVP of the league.
Okay.
So he would be my backup MVP just because we're in that prove it year.
Mhm.
But I think Patrick Mahomes
Yeah, I agree.
is
That's
the
who I had. I said either Russ or Patrick Mahomes. I went with Russ just because he's been on the cusp there. He just needs to get over the hump. I think he's got some of those weapons, so that's why I went him. But obviously Patrick Mahomes.
Now, with that said,
insane.
there is that thing called, the Super Bowl hangover.
Mhm.
And that always happens. It's weird. So, do the Chiefs have an average year? They make the playoffs, but they don't make that run. And that's why I was kind of like, if Baker like turns it on and is like laser focused with all the weapons he has, he could totally be the MVP. Because I mean, he went from, if you think about it, it's kind of interesting and bizarre. He goes from his rookie season, not even playing basically 2 of those football games, playing basically a 14-game season.
Yep.
And to your point, breaking Russell Wilson's rookie record for touchdowns thrown in a season. I mean, think about that. So he goes from that to last year. So which Baker do we get this year? If we get the Baker that we think he can with all these weapons, holy cow. I mean, he could be on fire. And I think, they could build a statue of him outside, First Energy.
That'd be something.
If he's the MVP of the league, just because I think I want that for him personally. I think that would be huge for him because they would finally galvanize around him. And you hear all this stuff out there like, well, is it time to go move on past Baker? I'm like, pump the brakes, man.
Pump the brakes.
Well, here's why I say pump the brakes.
Down.
How about we just be happy that this is the 3rd year going in that we've had a quarterback that's the same quarterback for 3 years in a row?
You're not wrong, Dustin. You're not wrong.
I'm just saying stability is always a good thing. And the fact that he's sitting there going into year 3 as the presumptive starter, I like stability. And if there's anything this organization needs, is stability. So why don't we just leave Baker, let him be laser focused. And you know what? Let him have a little, chip on his shoulder. I'm okay with that. But you know what? I think that would be amazing. So, yeah.
All right. So I've got Russ. You've got Pat Mahomes for MVP of the league. What about defensive player of the year? I'll get started on this one.
Okay.
I'll let you think about it here. My defensive player of the year, I went back and forth because my first thought was Khalil Mack. I think it's his year to make a comeback. Kind of the Bears were a little on the quiet side last year outside all the craziness, but I'm actually going to go with Nicholas John Bosa. Good old Nick Bosa out there in San Francisco 49ers. I think the season that he had last year, and I know this is kind of a bold take. This probably isn't, he's not even a favorite. But I think that he is one of those elite pass rushers in the NFL. And I think he takes that next step. I love the defense that they have out there in San Francisco. That defensive line is electric. Their secondary is explosive. And because of that, I think he's going to have enough time to get after the quarterback and really make a difference, rack up a ton of sacks. I'm going with Nicholas John Bosa, San Francisco 49ers, defensive player of the year.
Okay. So on that note, Alec, who was the defensive player of the year last year?
Oh, God, you put me on the spot.
I was just curious. So, because mine's an easy answer.
Oh, it's Stephon Gilmore.
Mine's an easy answer.
Okay.
Mine's easy.
Throw it out there.
95.
Love it.
And I'm going to tell you why. There's many, many reasons. So if Myles Garrett ever sees this podcast, he had a situation to him happen last year. He's grown from it. He's matured from it. And I think he wants to not only prove that he's a great player in the National Football League, but I think he wants to prove it to the world.
Yeah.
That I'm here and I'm here to stay. I think he could have easily double-digit sacks, and he could be a terror out there this year. And if we end up signing someone like Clowney, for instance, that's going to free up so much space for Myles Garrett to be, because they always double team him, right? We know this. They always double team Myles Garrett. Now, if you put Clowney on the other end, guess what? You can't double team anymore. That lets Myles Garrett be free out there and be just a nightmare it'll be a nightmare. So I think he could be a nightmare and be like, you know what? I'm going to be quiet, cool, calm, collective. and I'm going to be like he loves dinosaurs, right?
He
He's just going to be
does.
that. He's just going to be that big dinosaur that just
Jurassic Miles.
he's just going to just walk through the forest and just go get his quarterback.
Hey, I'm here for it all day, every day. I
I
like
just,
to play
I
so
just think
far.
he has something to prove, and I think
Yeah.
you see these players that have something to prove. It's like they play with an extra chip and they have a little extra thing, and the fact that I think he feels. I think there's a part of him, after he left the team, we all know. I mean, it's just very transparent.
Hmm.
The defense suffered without him there, and then some injuries happened, and then our season just kind of. I mean, you're only as good as your defense, right? Defense wins championships.
Yep.
And I think he wants to maybe take the team a little bit on his back on the defensive side and say, you know what, I'm going to own this, and I'm going to take us to where we need to be because I'm better than all this.
So, okay, I like it. I'd love it. That'd be awesome. Rookie of the year. I'm going, well, I know maybe a little unconventional here,
Okay.
but I'm given the current situation of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going Jerry Jeudy for
Okay.
rookie of the year. And the reason that I say that is Dak Prescott, franchise tag. He's on a prove it. He wants this max contract. He has to go out there and prove it. They, get Amari Cooper. They have Zeke. I love what they bring to the table, but then they go out in the first round and they get Jerry Jeudy, who's an explosive player out of Oklahoma. Or I'm sorry, I am talking about CeeDee Lamb, and I'm saying Jerry Jeudy. I'm meaning CeeDee Lamb, by the way. Wow. So yes, so disregard what I just said, guys. I apologize. But CeeDee Lamb, I'm going with CeeDee Lamb, the explosive wide receiver out of Oklahoma, to be the rookie of the year. I think he's dynamic. He's electric. So I think he's going to be the rookie of the year in Dallas.
Okay.
What about you? Rookie of the year.
So this is where I was confused by the first question. This is where it's Joe Burrows.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Joe Burrows on this. And the reason I say that is I always say, great, we already had a stacked division, and
Yeah.
now we just get Cincinnati gets a surefire number one pick quarterback that won the national championship. Like, hey, no big deal, right? I don't know how good he'll be, but I think he's head and shoulders among the rest of the class that was drafted.
Yeah.
And obviously, you don't draft a number one quarterback. And the talent he had to go up against in college, if you just look at the pure numbers of him as a quarterback, it was interesting. It was like a way above other teammates and other quarterbacks what they had to endure to get where he did and have that winning percentage. And so I think his transition to the National Football League will not be that hard because he has the size and he just has the toughness and the tough play, the teams he had to play. And if you look at that, I think that only helps him transcend into the National Football League. So
I agree. I agree with you. And I still cannot believe I said Jerry Jeudy. I meant CeeDee Lamb. That's awful.
That's
Who
right.
am
You just got to take away what's in your. You gotta just not drink
You
out
gotta
of here.
run with it. We're live. We are live, guys. So real quick, Dustin, we'll run through just our AFC predictions here. So,
Okay.
MVP for the AFC, I put Lamar Jackson. I just think that's kind of we saw what he did last year. We saw what he did last year. We know what he's capable of. They went out, they got better. They had J.K. Dobbins. I mean, they made some offseason improvements. The good just got great. The great just got even better. So
Right.
I think that Lamar is going to be set up to succeed this year in 2020, barring any injury. Of course, we don't want to put that out there, knock on wood. But I've got him as the MVP of the AFC.
Okay.
I'm just going rapid fire here. Then I'll turn it over to you. Defensive Player of the Year, of course, for the AFC, my boy, Myles Garrett.
Nice.
He was obviously on track to do that last year. I think we know Jurassic Miles. He's the man. He's just a dominant physical freak. Outside of what happened, I think he's putting that behind him. He's ready to move forward. And that was his goal last year, was to be the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes.
So I think he's got high hopes, high aspirations. And that's what he's going to go out and get. That's the kind of guy he is.
Okay.
And then Rookie of the Year, Joe Burrow, for all the reasons you just said.
So I'm actually going to go with probably Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, makes sense.
I just think Patrick Mahomes, he's proven it. He has so many great weapons there. I mean, it's just like Travis Kelce, all those guys just make it so easy for him. And here's the thing. he's elusive too. He's mobile himself, like he'll just go run on you when you think you got him trapped, so and then for rookie of the year, obviously I would be with Myles Garrett. And what was the last one?
Well, defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett. Then we have
Right.
rookie of the year for the AFC.
And Joe Burrows. I would have absolutely Joe Burrows.
Yep. So you pretty much stayed in the AFC to begin with. So yeah, that all makes good sense. Real quick, before we dive into our next segment, I want to just touch real quick. Shout out to our good friends, McGrew Designs, and our good friend, Brian Hewitt. But I want to touch on our virtual happy hour.
Yep.
So Dustin, we are going to shoot for July 10th, 8 p.m.
Eastern time. Yep.
So if you want to be involved, if you want to join us on the Zoom call, it will be live, so you can join us there. But if you want to join us virtually, let us know. We'll add you. We'll send you the link. Come have a beer on air.
And here's a little secret to all of you guys. If you drop Allie or I an instant message on the Here We Go Brownies Facebook page, you might be able to slot in a spot because we can choose who comes on. So if you want to have a early seat to the table, just shoot and say, hey, I'll love to call, love to be on the show. Just shoot Allie and I a message on the Facebook page and we will put you down. And when that comes in, of course, your name pops up so we know it's you. So we would love to have you.
So let's do something real fun real quick. Before we dive into our next segment, wanted to just give a quick shout out to our virtual happy hour. Thanks guys for joining. We appreciate all of you. Feel free to jump on with us. We'd love to have you. But I do want to touch on this. We've got a fun little segment to involve our listeners. Of course, we love your comments, questions, concerns. A couple of weeks ago, we played Stump the Host and you guys stumped us. You embarrassed me live on air and it's fine. But now it's my turn to embarrass you.
You had Allie going crazy on the calls. So
yes.
All right. So now it's time to open the phones.
We're gonna play a little game. And you call us. We've got two questions. We're gonna put two questions out there. Dustin will ask one, I'll ask one.
Yep.
And you call in. Dustin, our phone number is
216-249-6861. That's 216-249-6861. And Allie, if you want to drop that in the Facebook comments as the phone number as well. So I am going to start out with the first question. What is Allie's favorite word when it comes to talking about the 2020 Cleveland Browns? What is Allie Hysong's favorite word that she likes to use when it comes to the 2020 Cleveland Browns? So again, the number is 216-249-6861. And if you call in right now, you'll actually win some prizes from our friends at McGrew Designs. And they are on their way. They're actually shipping them. And also from
Brian Hewitt, our good buddy.
Brian Hewitt. Yeah.
So call in,
Yep.
answer that question. What is my favorite word to use when I am talking about the 2020 Cleveland Browns? All of our friends of the program should know this one. So call in for an easy prize, guys. 216-249-6861.
And you want to go ask the other question now? The other question for the prizes?
Yes. And then our second question is, what year was the first NFL championship won in Cleveland? And what was the name of the team? So you have two questions. So give us a call, 216-249-6861. Answer one of those two questions. The first to do so, you win a prize. It's easy as that. So we'll throw that out there. We'll wait for the calls to come through, guys. Yeah. And while we're waiting on that, Dustin, we can always jump on over and get back to our other segment. But those are the questions. What's my favorite word when it comes to the 2020 Cleveland Browns? And what year was the first NFL championship in Cleveland? And what was the name of the team? So if you want to answer that, easy prize, call in 216-249-6861.
My phone lines are open, so I'll be waiting for the call.
Give us a call. While we're waiting, Dustin, our buddy, he's not really our buddy. I'd like for him to be our buddy. Jamal Adams, New York Jets, trade possible. He wants out of there. Do the Jets want to trade him? We don't know.
Right.
What's going on over there, man? What do you think?
I think he stays put. I think I think he's trying to get a better contract. I think he's trying to get more money. And I think we've seen this song and dance. This works really well for some players and some it doesn't. Antonio Brown. It's sometimes it doesn't like, I'm better than the rest of the world. And the Pittsburgh Steelers says, okay, you think you're better than the rest of the world. So here you go. And That didn't work out so well.
Right.
So I think he might be pulling a little bit of a Dak Prescott. Like, I want more money. I think I'm worth more money. You know what I mean? And then be like, okay, I'm okay being a Cowboy. So I
So
think,
do you think if he gets his money, does he stay put in New York? I mean, New York's not a bad place to be, or does he say, "Hey, I'm trying to go to Dallas because we know that's his preferred landing spot."
well, interesting story. So I'm going to use the OBJ example.
Yeah.
OBJ wanted more money. The Giants said, we want you to be a Giant for life. They signed him for the money he wanted. And then he got a taker called the Cleveland Browns to knock on the door and call for a first-round draft pick. So, they could do that. I mean, there's so many options. I believe, I could be wrong, but I think the Jets have the cap space if they wanted to restructure and give him more money and make him happy to whatever deal. And then, because if you think about it from that perspective, from an actual team's perspective, if they re-sign him, the new team doesn't have to renegotiate a contract, right? And now you still have him on your active roster, and now you can dangle him. Hey, you want Jamal Adams, first round draft pick? So I think they clearly have the advantage. They have the leverage. And for him, it's probably he wants to be respected more, and he wants more money for his skill set. So I think there's a little bit of a give and take that'll probably happen here, and he may go back and play. I mean, for a lot of these guys, they just want to win and make the playoffs. I mean, that's
and they want to be wanted, and I think a lot of this comes down to a team like the Jets, where last year, I mean, like very similar to the year that the Cleveland Browns had, probably underachieve, higher expectations. They've got a second-year quarterback in there last year. High expectations. They didn't fulfill it. So he wants out of there, wants to go to a winning organization. So I think a good landing spot for him, obviously the Cowboys, but the Cowboys have come out and said, hey, we may not be in on this because they've already franchise tagged Dak Prescott, paid Amari Cooper. Lots going on over there in Jerry world. So it might not be for Jamal Adams in Dallas. Another landing spot I've seen. Oh, go ahead.
Not this year, right? So if they re-sign him or they restructure his contract, then Dallas can call next year and go, yeah, we'll take Jamal now. Like what's, like now they know that they already know his price, right? They know what his contract is. So then they all just have to look at their own salary cap and all that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jamal Adams, top-notch safety in the NFL. I mean, top tier, elite, absolutely elite, dominant. I mean, the guy can do it all. You know what's going to happen? You know what? I don't even want to put it out there. But you know what's going to happen, Dustin. If he gets traded, you know where he's going.
Where's that?
Baltimore or Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah.
To make our lives living hell. But in all seriousness, I throw Baltimore out there as a potential landing spot because, I mean, like I said, they've improved this offseason. They made some really, really good changes, brought in, some really great acquisitions that they brought in to make their team go from great to even better.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think if they can add an explosive and dynamic safety to that secondary, good God almighty. If I'm John Harbaugh and I'm the Ravens front office there, I'm saying this is the year. This is obviously the year. We're all in. What else do we need to do to go from here to here? And honestly, I think that would put them over the top. To God do.
Yeah. I don't think he goes anywhere though. I think he's going to stay there. I think they're going to try to keep him on the roster, let him play, and it'll be a reset. Because I think 2020 is going to be a little weird in a lot of ways just because of, how many people are going to be in the stands. I mean, they've already talked about, like they're taking out the first 6 or 8 rows at stadiums now. I don't know if you saw this, Ali, where people can advertise companies to make up for some of the losses they think they may have in fans being in the stadiums. So I just think the Jets are going to keep their powder dry and say, you know what, we'll figure this out, and we're going to use you as an asset, not a liability.
Sure.
Because you're still under contract. You're still ours. Yeah,
sorry about it.
Yeah. But, what are you going to do?
Jamal.
Tough luck. Well, what are you going to do? Go set out? That's not going to do you any good, right? Are you going to refuse to play? Well, then you're going to get fined. You know what I mean? So they do have some leverage. So.
No, they absolutely do. Good point. Good point. Guys, give us a call. Answer our questions. 216-249-6861. What is Allie's favorite word to use on the show in reference to the 2020 Cleveland Browns?
So Allie, maybe we gave too hard of questions. What do you think? I don't know.
I mean, it's literally there in the question. What is Allie's favorite word to use on the show? My God, guys, this is an easy one for you. Give us a call, 216-249-6861. But speaking of, I find it interesting. I don't know why. I'm just a nerd like this. I love reading through potential landing spots for trades. I don't know why. I just think it's so cool, just to see what other people say. For Jamal Adams, they obviously said Cowboys would make the most sense. I don't think the Cowboys can afford him, first and foremost. Right. One to watch out for, the Broncos. Interesting, right? They've got Von Miller there, Bradley Chubb on the other end. They've got Justin Simmons, AJ Bouye there in the secondary. What if they go out and add a safety? Watch out.
Well, as we all know, most teams, if they're rebuilding, which Denver's clearly in the rebuild, building up, you start with the defense. I mean, you just do.
Well, yeah. I mean, I honestly think Denver's in a pretty good spot with their defense. If they can go out and add somebody like Jamal Adams to take them to the next level, you do it. I like their offense. Outside of their quarterback, I'm still not sold on Drew Lock.
Well, and see, here's the interesting thing about teams like Denver, and I bring this up to people. The league is what it is today, and you've got the Patrick Mahomes and all that. Mm-hmm. But you can win Super Bowls with elite defenses and average quarterbacks. Because I think everybody would not, if you said Trent Dilfer to anybody, they're going to be like, yeah, but guess what? He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, right? He managed the game, but Baltimore had such an elite defense that year. Mm-hmm. You know what? They only needed to score 13 points because nobody was going to score 7 on them. So, you build an elite defense and you send a Jamal Adams, they're like, okay, whatever quarterback we have out in Denver, you just have to manage the offense. You just have to get us 20 points a game because our defense is elite. So, the offensive John Elway being an offensive guru, he might be like, I got to rethink this, right? And I got to just have a superior defense. So when you come into Mile High, you're intimidated, and we're going to manage this game. So, I mean, he may be looking at it from a different lens.
Hey, I like that idea. Guys, give us a call, 216-249-6861. You will send some prizes your way. Don't be shy. We'd love to have you.
Or is anybody trying to answer the questions in the Facebook feed at all?
Good question. Let me scroll on over there.
If they're afraid to call, we
afraid to call. You know what? I guess I will. Ooh, looks like we're getting some hits here.
And again, if you call in, it's 216-249-6861. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, give us a call.
Yeah.
I'll answer. You know what? We'll give our callers a shot first. Okay. And then if we don't get any, then I'll use these comments here. But we prefer you to call in. Yeah. You automatically win a prize, guys. Come on.
Yeah, and you're calling in. If you're in your pajamas, we don't get to see it, so it's good.
Yeah. So don't worry about that. Let's do this real quick. Let's run through. I found an interesting article, Dustin, on The Athletic by Zach Jackson. He says in his article, 6 players who might need to take on a bigger role for the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
And I thought that was pretty interesting because we talk a lot about the Cleveland Browns, as a whole. We talk a lot about some of those key playmakers, Nick Chubb, OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield, now even Jack Conklin there. Mm-hmm. What about some of these guys that need to take that next step from good to great, or, the rookie to really take that next step here? The first one that he lists here is Kareem Hunt. I think that's a pretty obvious one.
Right.
And I think what he says in his article that I thought was actually really unique, he says, Kareem Hunt is arguably the most gifted backup running back in the league. And the fact that Kareem Hunt is a backup running back in the league is astounding to me. But hell, I love having him on the roster. Obviously, he had his off the field issues last year, a little bit of injury. He only played X amount of games. So we did not get a super productive year from Kareem Hunt. So I think this is his year. He's on 1 year. Say, hey man, you got to go out there and prove it if you want to be on a roster here in 2021. But I think it starts with Kareem Hunt. He's got to take that next step.
Yeah, and I think it's going to fall right in his lap, to be honest with you. The way things in the interviews that Kevin Stefanski's talked about, he actually sees Kareem Hunt as a hybrid player. He actually sees him as being not only a running back, but a third and fourth receiver in the set.
Put him in the slot. Yeah.
So I think Kareem, he's got great hands, or they wouldn't put him out there as a wide receiver. But I think Kareem can actually balloon into much more than just a running back.
Mm-hmm.
So does he need to improve? I think he's naturally going to get that gift because he is such a gifted running back in itself. I have a friend that's a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and he goes, "Yeah, you have a Pro Bowl running back on your roster, and he's your backup." And I was like, when you think about it, it's true. 2 years ago, he was a Pro Bowler, right? So
he led the league.
Yeah. So the
He
fact
was
that
the rushing title. Yeah, he had the rushing title.
Right. So the fact that you have 2 number 1 running backs on your like, if this team doesn't make the playoffs this year, I'm gonna like lose my what because it's like I mean, I saw some talking heads this week talking about, they're like, how many other teams get gifted 2 players, for instance, that could be number 1 running backs on any team, 2 tight ends that could be number 1s on any given team, 2 wide receivers that could be number 1s on any given team. I mean, you have everything you kind of have in place to just go get it. And they said, I think this team the Browns have now with this coach are going to keep defenses up at night. They're going to keep them up at night because they're going to be like, well, is he going to the tight end? Is it going out to Kareem? Is it going to Chubb? Oh, wait, is it going to Odell? I think they have so many different options they can run this year. It's going to be kind of scary. And I think what we might see this year is the offense that we were supposed to see last year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now we have Stefanski that is very offensive minded. He's not afraid to be in that room. He's not bigger than the head coaching role. Everything I've seen from Stefanski this year is just, I don't want to call it military-like, but he's just very matter of fact.
Direct.
We're going to go out. We're going to do this. And you hear people like Lander going, yeah, he's a leader. Like, he already picked up on that. Like, this is the kind of guy we need in the room. And I think he's not going to be afraid to be like, look, if you're not towing the line, go sit on the bench, or you know what, get in there. So he just seems like the kind of coach that I think is going to bring that locker room together, because there are a lot of personalities in that locker room. And I can only imagine that in itself is its own dynamic. But Stefanski just strikes me as the kind of guy that, and I thought a lot of this comes from respect, right? Like, he can go in the room and go, I actually was the offensive coordinator of the team that was in the NFC Championship game last year. Like, I've been to the big games, right? And I think that goes a long ways in games that are close. When you're down by a field goal or down by a touchdown, like, okay, guys, I know what we got to do here. Let's go. And so, and if knock on wood, we get to the playoffs, it's not going to be too big for him. He's been there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that this year they are what they should have been last year.
Yeah.
Completely agree with you. On this AIM article, I want to touch on this one. Next on the list is cornerback Greedy Williams, who battled through some injury last year. He he had a coverage grade of 53.6 for his rookie season. He's coming into his second year, opposite of Denzel Ward on that outside cornerback. But I think he absolutely takes that next step this year, and here's why. When you went in depth a little bit ago about Myles Garrett and the step that he's going to take.
Right.
Actually, you know what? I look back at the Ohio State Buckeyes this past year, and they had elite pass rusher Chase Young. Then they had number 3 overall cornerback, Jeff Okudah. And those were kind of a 1-2 punch, those two, because you have Chase Young getting after the quarterback, getting his hands up in the face, getting those pressures, which will then allow for Jeff Okudah to do his job and vice versa. Sure. So I think that Myles Garrett's coming back this year. He's got that defensive player of the year mentality. That's going to allow the cornerbacks, Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams, to take that next level step and really succeed. And I think if you look at last year, first he was ranked 108th among cornerbacks last year,
Yeah.
But if you look at what he does, he's very good at that man-to-man coverage, that press man. And what did Steve Wilkes have 2 press man kind of corners run in the zone? So obviously they weren't set up to succeed there. I think that in this Joe Woods defense, Greedy Williams takes that next step. You've got Terrence Money Mitchell there as well. And then you've got Kevin Johnson, Carl Joseph there as safety. I think it's time for him to bulk up, get a little bit more physical, and take that next step.
Yeah. I think that was kind of his knock a little bit. He got knocked around a little bit. And I think, like to your point, if he adds a little more weight and a little more density himself. I think he does need to take that next step because there's obviously other players looking in his shadows. So, and I just think Greedy needs to step up this year. And then the other one that is on your list here is Austin Seibert.
Yep, Austin Seibert, my man.
Or Seibert, sorry. And as you said, he had some extra points that seemed like no-brainers that he missed, some field goals. And I think, it was, his rookie season. We get it. You're going to go through those. But I think he needs to grow as a kicker for sure, because I do think there are going to be some games this year where we're going to need a 48 or 51-yard field goal to possibly win it. And he's going to have to buck up and be there. So I think hopefully he's going to have to take the next step.
I like that. I agree. I actually just, forgive me for typing, I was replying to our buddy Josh Corbett over in the UK. He doesn't have the ability to call in, so he was asking if he could zoom in. So I just sent him the link. So Josh, if you want to zoom in, we'll have you.
Is it what time? Is it after midnight?
It's probably late over there, but man, if you're awake, give us a call. We love you.
By the way, to all of our listeners out there, if you don't know who Josh is a person that actually joined our conversation several weeks ago. This is the coolest story. Ali has actually been a guest on his podcast. He's actually started a podcast over in Europe.
Yes, in Wales.
In Wales. And I challenged him on the show to start a Wales Browns backers club.
You did.
And he did it. And he's actually got people join. I think it's the greatest story.
Yeah. Actually, I shared our video just now over to their page. So we get a lot of European Browns fans jump on as well. So shout out to you, Josh. You're awesome.
That's a good point, Ali. If somebody wants to Zoom us, if somebody is over in Wales or Australia and is watching this right now,
God bless you. It's late, but
put a Zoom request in, and we will do that. So let's get Josh on here. I think Josh probably has the answer.
If you're awake, give us a call. Another person on this list, yes, of course, Austin Seibert, under Mike Prefer. Like I said, I think this is the year he takes that next step. He was working through some kinks last year with missing a couple field goals, couple extra points. But another one on this list that I think could be in contention for maybe a position here is Drew Forbes, prospect X of last year. So he obviously competing for the right guard position behind Wyatt Teller. I think Wyatt Teller at this point is probably going to be the starter. Of course, Drew Forbes has a lot of potential. So I think if he can take that next step and be a backup in that interior of the offensive line, you're in good hands right there.
Yeah, and I think he needs to improve on his technique, and the fact that Callahan's going to be in the building and actually help him. I think this is going to be a great asset for him. And if there's anything I've learned from watching any NFL team, you're only as good as your backup. And I think there's been times where we've seen an offensive lineman go out, and then the other offensive lineman goes out, and we're like, who else is in there?
Kendall Lamb, Greg Robinson kicks somebody in the face. Kendall Lamb goes out there and then tears his ACL on the next play in week 1. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's like it's a dumpster fire in week 1, right? So
no, it really was.
So it's like, so anytime you can have, obviously depth on the offensive defensive, you win games in the trenches. And that's where you can kind of push your will late in games on teams. Yeah. So I think Drew Forbes definitely needs to have a little bit better year so he can make that final roster and be the depth that we need on our offensive line.
Yeah, and then we'll go rapid fire here with the last 2, and then we'll take any calls if we have, and then we'll wrap up. We're going a little long here. Rapid fire. Is
Josh going to join us via Zoom?
We'll see. I sent him the link. I don't know if he's going to join. Josh, if you want to, go ahead and Zoom on in. So BJ Goodson and Damian Ratley. These two make the list. Damian Ratley, I think he's on the list specifically. One, he's got a ton of speed.
Yeah.
That's what he brings to the table. He's a speedster. Now, that wide receiver room is a little bit unique. You've obviously got OBJ. You have Jarvis Landry. We've got Josh Corbett coming on in. Let's go ahead and get him on here. Sorry, I just had to transition right there.
You just lost me.
All right, Josh, let's give him.
Hello, can you hear me?
Josh, I can hear you. How you doing, man?
Yeah, we're good, thank you.
Oh, welcome back to the program. We're so happy to have you zoomed in. This is great.
That's cool.
Do you want to be on video or not, Josh? We can add you on video if you want.
No, I'll leave the video if that's okay.
Okay. Josh, what time is it right now?
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
I'm sorry. Yeah. What?
I stay up for your shows. I really enjoy them. So
Josh,
it's only once a week. It's once a week, isn't it?
Did you hear that he stays up for our show?
just love you, man. You're the best. You are the best. So Josh, let me ask you this, but we won't keep you on long. We appreciate your
No,
time.
that's cool.
You've already got a couple prizes coming your way, but we want to ask you some questions.
Go on, yeah.
Foremost,
All
let's see
right.
if you have it. Josh, what year was the first NFL championship won in Cleveland, and what was the name of the team?
Was it the Cleveland Rams, was it?
No. So it's the first.
Ah,
So it's the first team. So the first NFL championship to ever be won in the city of Cleveland.
Yes.
And what was the name of that team?
to be honest, I have no idea.
I didn't think you would, but that's okay.
I'm not going to beat about the bush.
All right. So here's the second one, Josh.
Yeah.
What is Allie's favorite word? Allie's favorite word when it comes to talking about the 2020 Cleveland Browns and what we need.
I think I know this one.
Okay.
I haven't got to ask a friend. Is it alignment?
It
It's
is
alignment. It's alignment.
Woo!
I always say they call me. That's what Allie is short for. It's short for alignment. Allie alignment Hysong. I love that word, and I say it over and over and over again to the point where people are probably sick of me. But yes,
Okay.
alignment is the factor with the 2020.
And Josh, just for some good trivia for your Browns backers club over there,
Yeah.
the 1924 Cleveland Bulldogs won the NFL championship in Cleveland. The 1924 Cleveland Bulldogs won the NFL championship.
Oh, cheers for that. I got a question for you, if that's right, as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's hear
go
it.
ahead.
So obviously, with the virus, unfortunately, how do you think it'll affect the rookies? Because obviously they've missed out on so many snaps with rookie camps not being played. Do you think we'll see much of them this year?
Go ahead,
Great
Al.
question. Great question. I'll start on this one. I think yes. I think that we're going to see this league wide. I believe that we're all in the same boat with this, and that's the one thing that the NFL does a good job with. If one team is, if they don't have the facilities, or hey, if
Yes.
one team is, behind the eight ball, then we're all going to be. We're all on the same page here. So I think as far as the rookies go, league wide, they're all going to be in the same boat. They're all going to be thrown into it. I think that they're all training on their own, or they're all participating in some type of workout or Zoom conference or whatever. So yes, I think there is going to be some type of developmental delay. And I think later on in the season, if there's a season, is when we'll see their true potential and who they really are. But I do believe that we are, especially your first through third round picks, are going to see a lot of playing time. I think so. And as far as the Browns go, I think that they don't have a choice but to put Jedrick Wills in there at left tackle. They don't have a choice. It is what it is. Sink or swim, big guy. Grant Delpit in that same boat. I think they have a little bit more rotation with the safety, with Sheldrick Redwine, Andrew Sendejo, Carl Joseph. So a little bit of wiggle room there. But on that same note, yeah, I think that a lot of these guys are going to see a lot of the field, especially those first round picks.
Yeah, and I'll hop in there, Allie. So, Josh, the one thing that I think, back to this point with Callahan being the offensive line coach, I think he will have those guys ready, because obviously he's probably had multiple meetings with those guys telling them to work on their technique. But I do at least feel confident that he has Callahan there, and he's a veteran. I mean, he's been a head coach in the NFL. I think that's going to bode well for at least our first round pick in Jedrick Wills. The second, I think we're going to be fine there too. But to be honest with you, I think we're going to be okay just because of the coaches we have, because rookies are only as good as the coaches teaching them. And, that's where you find really good versus great coaches. And I think we're going to be okay. And that, especially with the coaches we have in place.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be interesting, obviously, with the rumours of no preseason or one or two preseasons. They're just not going to have the same time as they would as a normal season, would they? But it's definitely interesting times.
Yeah, they don't get the reps. They don't get the live game reps. So, but also with that, there could be some advantages for teams. There's less chances of injury. And Josh, you probably know this. There's been a lot of argument about, the collective bargaining agreement. Why do we have 4 preseason games? Some of them are just, the starters don't even play the 4th game. So why do we really need 4 preseason games? If they're all about revenue, take 2 of the preseason games out and make it an 18-game season, and have more football games throughout the year. So, to your point, I think a lot of those guys don't even give it their full go anyway in preseason games.
I agree. Again, I think we might see some developmental delay, just a little bit. You might not see, if this were any other year, I think Chase Young would probably have a handful of sacks right off the bat. I mean, he'd be full swing, ready to go. But this year, maybe not. He might not be complete full swing, ready to go until midseason. And I think that's just going to come naturally. And it is what it is. But I think we're all going to be in the same boat here.
Yeah.
It's just such a shame for the likes of AJ Green, Troy Brown, the undrafted lads.
You're right.
Who won't have a chance.
Yeah.
You're really right, Josh. That brings up a really good point. I do think that maybe AJ Green, he might have the benefit of the doubt here. Dustin, I know you really like him. Obviously, a undrafted free agent there, signed to a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Josh. I think a lot of these guys, it's very unfortunate. But again, they're not the only ones. There's obviously going to be multitude of other undrafted free agents that aren't given a chance. Maybe they'll make some practice squads. Maybe they'll make a roster. But keep in mind, too, if we will have a season, with a season comes injury. And these guys may be given a shot later on in the season or might just have to wait until next year. Or unfortunately may not have a chance at all. It is a damn shame.
So, Josh, I got a question for you.
Yeah, go on.
I don't know if you heard our announcement about and now clearly you stay up for all of our shows. Can you stay for an extra show?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely would love that.
Happy hour.
We'd love to have you. Come have a beer with us live on air.
But you got to go. You got to go video though, so we can shoot.
Yeah.
Cheers. So.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe not a beer, maybe a hot chocolate, but
there we go.
Definitely.
Hey, by the way, anybody that's listening, you don't have to. We're not promoting that you have to drink.
That's absolutely not. Just having a good time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we just want to give a cheers to but yeah, we'd love to have you join our virtual happy hour on July 10th, which is at 6:00. So how many hours ahead are you there, Josh?
5.
5. So if we go on it, so that would be 1:00 your time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So we'll I think Ali and I are thinking about that anyway. We'll go right into our virtual happy hour right as the show starts. So
absolutely.
We'll get you on and then you can go to bed after having a hot chocolate.
Cool.
Thank you,
Josh, for allowing me to come on.
Thank you for joining. We appreciate you. Go Browns, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Go Browns. I hope you enjoy your 4th of July celebrations.
Thank you.
Good weekend. And see you soon. Cheers.
Appreciate you, Josh.
Cheers.
Thank you. See ya. All right, guys. I love Josh. He's talk about the best. Great friend of the program. We love him.
By the way, folks, I'm going to challenge our listeners. Okay, folks, you need to call in. That guy just called, and it's 2 a.m.
Good morning.
Come on.
Hell. Anyways, Dustin, let's wrap it up. We went pretty late tonight. We had a jam-packed show, tons to get to, of course. Thank you, Josh, for calling in. We'll have some stuff sent out your way.
Did anybody answer our questions on Facebook?
You know what? That's a great question. I'm going to have to go through here afterwards, scroll through. If we see anybody that had a correct answer, we'll get with you, maybe send you something out. But Dustin, any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Everybody have a wonderful 4th of July weekend with your family and friends. Enjoy the 4th, enjoy the, America for what it was all made for, and, enjoying our independence. Stay safe. I know some of you guys are out there in states that, are dealing with kind of regressing with the coronavirus. And, throw us some topics that you'd like to talk about as well. Because, we think we always know that you want what you want to talk about, but we're not always right. So
9 times out of 10, we're not.
So there might be a topic, but if there's something specifically you want us to break down next week, we will do that. Again, folks, July 10th, we are doing our virtual happy hour, 8 Eastern. Then we will do our other show Tuesday, 8 Eastern. So you get double the fun, double the alley, double the Dustin next week. So should be fun. But again, throw us any kind of topical questions you want. We'll check your comments out there on the Facebook to see if there was any questions answered. We have prizes coming in, so we probably have a handful of you. We can send out prizes. And then most importantly, thanks for supporting us. In the next few weeks, we have some surprises to tell you about, taking our actual show to other platforms, Twitter, and some things. So we have some surprises to tell you in the next few weeks. We're not ready to tell you all about that yet, but we're excited about some pretty exciting things coming in the future.
We are excited, guys. Thank you, as always, for joining. We ask that you stay safe, stay healthy out there. We appreciate you. We love you. And as always, guys, go Browns.
Go Browns.
Go Browns, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.